willing to take their time with some stuff. So that's why I don't think they're going to like pull the trigger and have Reed Richards show up. I mean, it would be the coup of the century to have kept whoever Reed Richards is quiet. Oh. It would be insane.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna give him, a proper, thing. Kind of like, like the revealing of, when they do like the next Doctor Who, they keep that shit quiet, and then they do. But
they can't even keep Spider-Man quiet because of Spider-Man. But also, I mean, with this whole thing, how come I can't remember his name? This was the name I should have written down. I just didn't know we were going to talk about him. Who was Raimi's Spider-Man?
Raimi was Sam
Raimi. He's the Spider-Man.
I'm just blanking on who that first Spider-Man was. It wasn't Andrew Garfield. It was the other one.
No, it was the other one. Yeah. Anyways, he's been seen on set.
Yeah.
Right? We know. Okay. With our fingers on the nerve pulse, we kind of know what they're going to try to do. We hope. Even then, we hope there's going to be multiverse. We hope we're going to see a bunch of Spider-Man. Well, we hope we're going to get. We know we're going to get Miles Morales. We know we're going to get that.
Tobey Maguire. That's his name.
Tobey Maguire.
The actor. But yes,
they said, just this as an aside, he was spotted on set. So you know what they said? He was bringing them food. That's what they said. Oh, he was just bringing them food. He just came to visit. He was just bringing them food. Right. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right.
We all know what craft services are. Nothing he brought off the street is going to be any better.
Yeah, not during a freaking pandemic. Come on.
Seriously. Okay. So, anyways,
they're playing fast because they know they can't just tell everybody everything, but they still got to play the game. So her being the big bad. But being to a certain degree a victim in this. So, what was Sword doing? What was happening? So, this could be something that's leading to, say, Nick Fury being more involved than Sword, once he comes back, and that's all that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, wait, because hold on. At this point in time, Nick Fury is not gone. He's not on that scroll ship. That scroll ship is 8 weeks later after this.
Or even more. I mean, because...
So he just got unsnapped himself.
Because Spider-Man Far From Home is the next summer.
Right. 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 So, he just got unsnapped himself.
Yes.
So, and considering what that guy has to deal with, he's been in that office for 3 weeks getting the security reports. Yeah. So, but I do think that, one thing that they're going to do with this series, at least with Marvel, is they're really going to break down this stupid wall between television and movies.
Yes.
Right? They started to do it already with Sam Jackson because he did show up on some of the television shows.
Yeah. Right? He was an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But it's even then people were like, oh, no. An actor is an actor, right?
Right.
I did say tour. So I think I suspect he'll be on this show before it ends.
Yeah, I don't know.
Literally, maybe in the last 5 minutes.
In the last 5 minutes.
Because I think that what's going to happen is that we're going to have this big buildup. There's all this stuff, and people are all confused, and so on and so forth. And like I said before, that somebody's either manipulating Wanda or they tripped her up, and she's pissed. There's going to be a big release. She's going to fuck up a lot of people and things. And I still do believe that hex is going to get bigger. And that's what's going to force them into action on some level. But I think as everything's quieted down and now Monica Rambeau is the head of Sword, we're going to get one of those Sam Jackson walks in.
Yeah. And, probably the last episode will be the only one that actually has a post-credit scene.
Yes. And speaking of post-credits, that was super effective. The fact that she tried to
the
roll
credits, yes, that she
when they got in
tried
a
to
fight
stop that conversation by rolling credits.
and he was not having it.
Yeah,
it was scary. Again, to use something that could be like a funny trope, like the changing of the aspect ratio,
right,
and how ominous it is in her hands. Really effective. I'm really enjoying this show.
Yeah, but in that scene, she went from kind of active, kind of aggressor to not having to being in control to not having control to being in control to not, back and forth. She's they're having this confrontation, and he's like, "You can't control me like you do with everyone else," and she says, "Can't I?" I mean, that was like a harsh tone. She's like,
"Yeah, can't I?
I can't."
And
then
scared him.
Yeah. But then the confrontation goes on, and then she's like, she seems like she doesn't quite understand how they got to this place. She now that they're there, she's going to make sure they keep their happiness, but how they got there isn't necessarily a conscious thing of hers. Right.
So do you suspect that because of all these things, these interferences, Jimmy Woo on the radio,
the email coming through,
the helicopter, the beekeeper, and all these things, that now she's getting jarred out of this reality more and more? Because
probably, yeah.
That's what gave her and that Monica mentioned Ultron, these sort of things really jarred her out. And now, so she's becoming more self-aware and actually saying, yeah, I don't even know how this happened. Yeah, I see that. That just seems to make sense. But then.
So there's a discussion about how she can't bring back the dead. And that's something that we were all kind of wondering. It's like, well, look, if she's bringing back the Vision, she's rewriting reality. Why doesn't she just bring back? Yeah, why doesn't she just bring back Quicksilver? Why doesn't she just do it? It's her brother. I mean, come on. Why can't she do that?
Every single time.
Yeah,
we thought about it. Why?
Because it makes no sense. It made no sense to us that her love for Vision was so great that she brought him back, but she doesn't bring back her brother. Mm-hmm. Right. So whatever she's got going on, there's a limit to her power. She can't bring back the dead for some reason. She can somehow create life or manipulate life as it is, because those,
Well, we got a hint of that too. She may bring the Vision back to life. He may leave. Well, he's going to leave. We see it in the previews. But whether he drops to his knees. So does that?
But also, he was never truly life. That's different. Right. The Vision is not the same type of life as, say, human life.
Correct. But true, very true. But also, they revealed here that he has no recollection. So even if she did recreate the Vision, it's going to go along roughly his storyline where he has actually lost his own personage.
His existence is from when this thing started to going forward.
And until they leave this not loving Wanda. And that's where I think this is going to go. Because that's happened.
Until they run into Shuri and we find out that she actually did download enough of him.
Right.
And then he can just get downloaded. Just saying. She did complete her task. She downloaded him.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
They haven't revealed it yet, but that's just, hey, she did. Yeah, she got him. She was able to get enough.
Well, what about this whole thing where because it makes an interesting story. Having the Vision be the same entity but a different personality. Mm-hmm. This has happened at least a few times. That's part of what he is.
Yep.
And it's caused difficulties that were interesting to see play out. So I don't know how they would pass that up when they are probably going to introduce Wonder Man, but that would be too soon.
Right.
They'd have to have already introduced him and have him die or whatever.
But no, it is a good, interesting, possibility.
But no, I do think they're going to go with the simpler one because again, they're already about to tackle something super difficult. Why go there with Vision? That alone would be enough for people to crunch on, and it might be too much. So
So okay, we've been at this for a while, and we
I know.
purposely left this to the very end. Okay, this super difficult thing that they're going to be tackling. She cannot bring back the dead.
No.
So she cannot. Her brother is dead, and she cannot bring him back.
Otherwise, he would have been there.
Otherwise, he would have been there. But she wants her brother back.
She does, and somebody knows that.
Or some part of her knows that, or whatever. And so
this was more
reality is broken.
Reality is broken. But this was more okay. Now we just need to say it because in some of you who don't have any interest in watching this and don't care about the spoilers, at the very end, she's talking about the fact that even she doesn't know what's happening.
Right.
In their home, in their TV home, and then there's the doorbell ring. And she doesn't know who it is.
Yeah, and because she has to say that she didn't do it because earlier she just tried to roll credits on Vision.
Yeah, that
was her.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously,
by the way, next time I'm in an argument with somebody, I'm going to be like, "Roll credits." Walking away.
And so when this happens, Vision looks at her like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're trying to manipulate this again."
And she's like, "No."
I have nothing to do with that. And he's like, right. I don't believe you. Well, she's like, you don't believe me. And he's like, I can't really say I do.
Right.
So the big reveal, she goes to the door and it's
her brother.
Quicksilver.
It's Quicksilver. That's a better way to say it. But it's not her brother.
Yeah.
It's
other
Quicksilver actor
from the
X-Men
franchise from Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How pissed was universe, that Marvel guy? Oh, sure. You just had to write him in. Okay.
Had to write him.
Okay, whatever.
Right. Across the multiverse, or something. Yeah.
Something.
Quicksilver is brought in from the Fox franchise. Disney has control of it all. And they brought him in. Just straight. Here he is. And she didn't recognize him at first until she probably felt in his mind who he was. Yeah.
He said this New York kind of, it was really funny that he did it in that voice.
Because he's acting. He's a studio actor.
Can a guy hug his sister? Am I right? I can't remember what he said, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay. What's your theory?
What does this mean? Yeah. So,
I have thoughts.
So I think this is leading right into the multiverse of madness.
It is leading right into the multiverse of madness. But how did he get there?
Did she crack it?
She didn't. No.
Did the snap crack it? Did the fact that that Thanos destroyed all the stones really screw up the balance of the universe, like the Ancient One said? Remember, she's like, you get rid of this, and so he's all, we'll put it back where it came from, fine, but Thanos still shattered those suckers.
Yeah.
So is that, is that a mechanism that cracked these things? Or is it, whoever the genuine power behind this whole.
And that's who I think, that's what that's what it felt like to me, because she can't create life. And if it could be that it's an escalation of her powers, and that this is a new thing that even we didn't know she could do, or that.
Because it's closer to her power. Remember her powers in the comics were probability manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Which it's like if something was not likely to happen, she can make it more likely to happen.
Uh-huh.
Which if you want to get into quantum nonsense, is parallel universe stuff. If something happens, if there's a possibility of more than one thing happening in some universe, that thing happens. Right. So she has
everybody.
Yes.
Jerry says quantum nonsense. He's talking about how people try to take the science and make it into something else.
Yeah.
The quantum stuff is fine.
Right. But
it's interesting. I don't know if it's true. Okay, you know what I'm saying.
How accurate?
It's science.
But
it's science.
When I say quantum nonsense, I'm talking about the fact that people, yes, exactly, people. But because I try not to act like I know everything about quantum, because anybody who says they know everything about quantum physics is lying.
Or what's his name, Green?
Brian Green.
Brian Green, thank you.
So you roll the dice, there are 6 possibilities. In some universe, a 1 comes up, and some universe, a 2 comes up. It all does happen, but on you're locked into one universe, and a 4 comes up. That's your universe. Now, Wanda's powers in the in the original comics, were to alter probability. Is it possible that her power was actually to cross realities and make one universe that was not her original reality the actual reality? So she would actually shift realities to one where the thing she wanted to happen happened. So if you're extending her powers that way in terms of being a slight reality manipulation, is it just pulling? She can't bring Pietro, but she can
maybe pull someone from another
universe.
Yeah, from another universe. Okay.
But that would be a major escalation of her powers.
And it would be a major escalation of her powers, which is why my theory is, okay, so Agnes seems to be more aware of this than anyone.
Yes.
Actually, yeah, except for, who's the guy, what's his name that was cutting through the wall?
Herb.
Herb has been shown to have some better knowledge,
right? But
Norm needed to be pulled out of it.
But there was a complicity, some like
the mailman
with Agnes, that was more than just like, I know a little bit. She's like, I also know what you want to happen,
right? Right. So this is where I think, and then also the mailman, who I think is somebody to keep an eye on.
The way he said,
way he said, like, oh, she won't let that happen. She won't let the dog get too far. Don't worry.
Do we have his name?
No, it's just mailman.
Is that Ralph?
It may be. The actor seemed to have some weird ass wig on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're trying to disguise him.
Because
so
I think
when
it just said mail carrier before on his lapel. I think it said mail carrier.
Mm-hmm.
And when we first introduced him, she's like, "Hey, stick him up," and he's like, and then he walked away, and she's like, she was giving him the flirtatious. Yes, he walked by. So I didn't even think till just now. I was like, maybe is that Ralph that we don't know?
Could be.
But he's been on camera though. Has he been on? Has he been on? I don't know.
He's never been on camera before.
Okay.
No,
I mean on camera with the people on the outside. Have they seen him? So
no.
Okay.
They've never seen that guy. And he wasn't in the group of people who don't have IDs.
Right.
On that wall. Because that would be an interesting thing. Like, we can make an assumption that they've identified, or they're really starting to, but we know that Agnes does not have an ID.
Does not, yeah.
Right. Okay, so we know that she's more aware. We know that Herb's more aware. But I think really the key one here is that Agnes knows what's going on. Because part of the thing about the doorbell ringing, and that Vision was like, I don't trust you, because he actually mentioned, like, oh, well, of course, someone's going to be at the door with exactly what we need for the situation. Right. And it's always Agnes.
Yes.
And so something has told me, Agnes, because this is only a matter of days here. 9 total?
No, it's not.
No, not even that.
No, 9 is when she broke in.
Right.
We have, it's only been a few, maybe only 72 hours. Yeah.
So I think Agnes is really involved in listening. She kept mentioning it.
Yeah. A little birdie told me. A little something told me.
How do I know? A little birdie told me. Well, how do I know? The sound of children crying? Well, how did you know? Dogs barking?
Yeah. Looking out my window, I saw. Yeah. My kitchen windows told me you had.
I think that she's the spy. She's the one that's like, okay, hey, look, everybody. I mean, let's be honest. Well, this is a perfect tie-in to Doctor Strange. Well, Doctor Strange and Agnes, and Agatha, and he goes, look, I'm putting you in there. Tell me what the F is going on, right? That can happen.
Also, it fits in with her being, do you remember in Bewitched, it was Gladys?
Yeah.
Gladys was the neighbor who was the nosy neighbor and always paying attention. She was always looking out her window, seeing what was happening. She was
the one that was convinced that she could do magic. So she actually was the only one who was paying attention, but always got proved wrong. But so that's the conceit they're going on. But
it also means, she's not just like, casually doing things. She's actively listening in. She's hearing things. And,
Yes, I think she is,
and driving things forward.
Yes.
She's like, this is what the scene needs right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We can't let her get upset. A lot of it is that.
Yes.
We have to let this get as seamless as possible so that nobody gets hurt and I can help figure it out. And her stopping and saying something about this odd existence in front of Vision really set him off, and I don't think that was a mistake. I think that somewhere they're saying, you know what? We got to get Vision involved. He's having his own thoughts. Let's push that. Let's go with that. Let's see if he can stop that, right?
I thought of it more of she was doing the reset and figured Wanda would, take care of the other part, take care of the Vision part of it. You want me to start again, and then Wanda would take care of she'd reset the scene with Vision. She'd make sure he was fine with it.
It was really showing her cards, man. And that was
really was.
But in a way that she shouldn't have. For her own well-being, she shouldn't have. She could have gotten kicked out. She knows somebody's been kicked out already. Oh, maybe she was trying to make her.
I don't know if she's trying to get kicked out, but
no,
and I don't think
so either.
I don't know it's so much of that. For me, there's a certain amount of like, almost like a counseling, almost like there's like a counselor relationship between her and Wanda.
Oh, that maybe
that caretaker, that caretaker relationship.
That would be, and that's what
her original, her nanny relationship.
Her nanny relationship should be. So maybe that's how they got introduced.
Yeah.
But I know this, I'm starting to get an understanding more and more because we're dealing with magics. That if magics of this level are happening in this world, Doctor Strange knows.
Yeah.
So I think he's
involved. But you understand, it's only been 2 weeks since he came back.
Right.
So stuff's happening without him having control over it. I mean, this stuff, because he hasn't had a chance to take care of everything.
Shouldn't this be so big that he actually
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so he's probably figuring it out. But yeah.
So that's what I think. I think there's something working in the background against her, and I think there's something working in the background for her.
For her, right.
Because I think that Agnes is working for her, and I think that Quicksilver showing up is working against her.
All right.
I think that, or maybe for her, we'll have to see how it affects her. That it's something they put in to jar her out or something, but I don't think she had anything to do with it. My personal opinion is that she didn't pull anyone out of a different universe. That there are different universes, they are schismed, and whoever is trying to help or hurt pulled one and pushed him into her reality.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's not acting.
Right.
They pushed this guy into her reality. And then her
her longing for her brother or whatever,
And then he now he has his role. It's his role.
Right.
It's exactly what his role would be. And that's why he shows up at her door. So she had nothing to do with that.
No, nothing to do with that. But I do think it's interesting, and I think I agree with it. The idea that of Agnes, or Agatha, not being, the antagonist, because that was, there was a lot of people thinking, that she was somehow behind it in a negative way, and that wouldn't necessarily work for the relationship, at least the kind of the long time relationship of the comics. So her being more of a counselor, a grief counselor, or something, therapist or whatever, or just mystic counselor or whatever.
A mystic counselor. Well, was Doctor Strange at the funeral?
Yes.
So he could have said, "I want you to talk to so and so."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But. What was I going to say? It was important. What I want and what I think we're going to get is a behind the scenes again from Agnes's point of view.
I wonder what the mechanism would be to get that happening.
That we would see the same scenes in the background. It's very comic book. Right?
Right. Uh-huh.
And that her making decisions with whoever her outside contact is.
Whoever her director, director is.
And I think she has an outside contact.
Yeah, her handler.
I do think that on some level she does.
Well, yeah, because the
she
fact
was there
that
from the very get-go. She wasn't pushed in.
Yeah.
She didn't enter. She was there.
Yeah.
Or could she have been placed in by... She could have been placed there by Doctor Strange, and that initially it took her over and it took her some while to wake up out of it. You know what I mean? But I think we're going to get behind the scenes, and I'll tell you why. Or what I hope. It's just something that occurred to me, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be interesting? They do this all the time in sitcoms anyway. So there is precedent for it.
Okay.
That there was no dog in that blanket. But it was so obvious that there was no dog in that blanket. Right? That it would be interesting to see. That's what brought me there. It's like, oh, if she just like put the dog in a back room and then waited or took the dog. How did the dog get out again?
It got out when the drone came, and it
when
went
the drone
out.
Came, right? Well, that she could be aware of it, that she reached down, that she grabbed the dog, that she ran home. Because listen, there's a point to this. She ran home, put the dog in there, grabbed the blanket off the couch as she walks outside of the house.
But what did she Vision bury then?
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah, that's my only thing. It's like,
yeah. Well, because you can see why. Well, I mean, it may be a fucked up thing that Agnes had to do. Yeah. Because she needed to cause a death. Because that's what I was thinking. Like, that situation was too
I could totally
perfect.
See that. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Perfect.
I was kind of joking that it's like, man, that dog, maybe that dog was the only one that was able to actually take the out.
Outie.
and get out of here.
But yeah, I think because that was too perfect of a teachable moment for her to get Wanda to engage in grief. Right? That's what you do. I mean, I'm sure that part of that is what made you even, think that this could be a counselor relationship, because that's exactly what, counselors don't kill your dog.
Yeah. I was saying, can we
let's talk about this?
How your therapy sessions go there, Bean?
I have lost more hamsters. I swear to God. Why do they keep giving to me? I don't know. And then I got to bring them in for checkups, and they're always dead when they come out. But I'm getting better at it. Grief. All right, so we don't need to put any of that in, but you probably will. Anyways,
yeah, it doesn't make sense to cut that. Come on.
Yeah. Okay. So, it's too big of a teachable moment. I think that was either under the direction of somebody else or Agatha's idea. So, to sum up.
Right, she called an audible.
Yeah. To sum up, Wanda had a break.
Yes.
Right? Wanda snapped because she broke in and stole Vision's body. That's not a sane thing to do. Right? If it was a sane thing to do, there would have been other Avengers there.
Right.
Yeah, no, really, right? Because if they found out that they were going to rebuild the Vision and they all said, well, that can't happen, they would act. This was a split-second decision on her part. I think that somebody clued her in. I think that they're wielding a monster that they think they can control. So I do think there is a thought behind it. Then I also think that there are allies that we don't know about yet. And I think that Agnes is evidence of that. And that this whole show is a study in dealing with tragedy.
Right.
And there is a high chance that Vision is not going to make it out of this.
There is a high chance. Yeah.
Because it almost wouldn't make sense if he did.
Right. Because if she went through all this and all these lessons were learned and
Vision was like whole. He might exist, but I don't think he's going to be whole.
Right. Right. There's always that possibility that he exists, but he's not whole.
But then there's also this, and this is what stops me on that one. Vision is going to make it out of this. I'm almost certain of that. In terms of Paul Bettany having a role in a future movie as Vision. Because I saw an interview with Benedict Cumberbinky, whatever his name is.
You had it perfectly until you decided to bet
Benedict
on that name.
Cumberbatch. Batch. An interview with him talking about, not spoiling, but sort of realizing it at a point like, oh shit, I probably shouldn't have said that. That he's really excited with working with one of these people that are in the Avengers, and he's never had a chance to work with him before. And the Vision and Benedict have never had a scene together. And who better to deal with multiverse than a perfectly logical guy?
Interesting.
Maybe even working on other versions with other versions of visions.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So overall, So let's in summing this thing up. Overall thoughts on the episode and it was good.
It's good. They're getting better and better. They're getting better and better, but they were too fucking short. And how many more do we have? 4?
4.
These better get longer, fast. They're too short. They're too short. I think that's a mistake. Yeah. Because they can hold our attention for an hour, which means that they would have twice as much time to storytell, and they can fill that space. It's not like Jackson filming The Hobbit. They can actually fill the space with quality material.
Right. Yep. Yeah, no, they can be longer. But I think they're also getting better at making them a little more satisfying. I mean, there's still the desire for more that's happening.
And I hate that feeling. So that's just me.
Yeah, I don't mind that feeling. But there's not that sense of, at least for me, there's not as much sense of being like, you didn't do your job. You didn't give me enough.
Right.
So
thanks for watching this snippet.
If you're interested in listening to the full conversation in one continuous spot, you can check out the entire podcast on Spotify or any other podcast delivery service you might have. All availability will be shown in the description.
And make sure to like and subscribe. And if you want to be bugged by us for the rest of time, click that little bell.
Thanks, everybody.